Hello and welcome to the Critical Hit Wargaming Speed Painting Guide on the Knights Excelsior. Now this is what the end product's going to look like. There's lots of different ways you can paint Stormcast Eternals, from the golden armour of the Hammers of Sigmar all the way through to the silver and blue of the Hallowed Knights. But there's something about the Knights Excelsior that has always piqued my interest, and I've always found it a really good scheme. Now anyone who's seen the latest Age of Sigmar 3rd edition will know that it's going to be set in the realm of beasts or Gur. Now the capital city for the cities of Sigmar there is Excelsis, which is exactly where the Knights Excelsior are from. So I thought it'd be good to reflect the type of fighting they're doing in Gur by painting my Stormcast to look a bit battered, fighting out in the swamps and jungles of Gur, trying to fight back the forces of destruction. So I'm going to show you how to paint this in a quick and efficient way, especially if you're trying to get through a large amount of models from the new box set that will be coming out. This is going to be a really good way to churn through them. Average time for painting per model is going to be about half an hour, which will actually get quicker as you get better at painting them. A lot of people are scared to paint white or white-based armour because it can be quite intimidating trying to get the colours right. I want to show you a really easy way of doing it, and that's going to get a really good result, as you can see in the video. Now this method of painting is ideal for batch painting, so the best thing to do is get all the models you want to paint together and start by undercoating them Corax white, which is actually slightly off white, but it's going to do the job that we need for now. First things first is to create that slightly cream tinted armour of the Knights Excelsior, and to do that we're going to use contrast medium and skeleton horde contrast paint. The ratio is going to be about 5 to 1, that's 5 parts medium to 1 part skeleton horde. Now you might say, why on earth aren't you just using skeleton horde straight out the pot? And the reason is it will look like a gigantic skeleton if we do that, and all we want is a subtle off-white type colour. And the easiest way to do that is to create our own colour using the contrast medium and skeleton horde. You don't have to be massively accurate. As you can see, all I did was scoop it out of the pot, stick it on the palette, and then I'm going to get some skeleton horde after I've washed my brush and just kind of mix it and eyeball it. Once it's mixed, we're just going to put it all over the model, not be accurate at all really. We're speed painting here, so getting things done quickly is key. As you can see on the palette, I've mixed all of my colours together and created that slightly pale skeleton horde based colour on my palette, and that's ready to go on the model now. Picked up my adjudicator and I'm quite literally just going to put this colour all over the armour, because that's the thing that's going to be this off-white colour that we've created. So don't be particularly accurate, just get it all over the model to start with, and once you finish with this one, mix up another batch, get your next model and keep going all the way through until you've done the whole batch that you're working on. And this is what it should look like when it's dry. You'll see I've left out the shoulder pads and some of the details that are attached to him. That's mainly because they're not going to be this colour, they're going to be something else, so I didn't want to waste any of my mixed paint on it. We'll focus on those later on. Next up is pallid witch flesh and a dry brush. What we're going to do is we're going to dry brush that armour colour back up to an off-white colour, and that's going to leave the skeleton horde in the recesses and act like a wash. Now if you don't happen to have skeleton horde or contrast medium and you want to do it another way, you can use Lamia medium and Seraphim sepia, are about the same ratio. And if you mix those together and put that all over the model, it will look almost identical to using skeleton horde. So that is another option. If you're not sure how to dry brush, I suggest you go and look up any number of painting tutorials on YouTube that will show you exactly how to do it properly. And once you've figured it out, basically get your pallid witch flesh and just rub it all over your model, trying to avoid the recesses. And that's going to just bring the armour back up to that off-white we're after. Next up is Black Templar, and we're going to put this on the cloth recesses between each of the armour panels. Fairly self-explanatory. Open your pot and just get it on the model. Contrast paints, you can use it straight out the pot, and as you can see here, when my thumb is out of the way, I'm just going to put it on all of the armour joins. And when that's done, it's going to look something like this. As you can see, there's not actually that many places that you need to put Black Templar. This is a very, very quick step that you can just fire through your models in quick succession. Next up is Leviathan Blue Contrast, and that's going to go on all the blue areas that you'd expect to find on a Knights Excelsior Stormcast Eternal. That is the shoulder pads and the hanging tabard from down the bottom, but don't do the little straps hanging off his belt, because those will be pink, and we'll come on to that shortly. And there's the blue all finished, nice and simple. Next up, it's Cygor Brown Contrast. We're going to use that on all the leather parts of the model. So that's the belt, the scabbard, and the quiver for all of the arrows. Now you want to use a small layer brush or a detail brush for this, so you don't overlap onto any of the white armour you've painted. Just be as careful as you can. Get all that leather painted, then we can move on to the next steps. There's all the brown done. Time to move on to the next part. Next, it's time to do Volupus Pink on the hanging leather straps. In addition to the leather straps, you'll also see that the sword hilt can be painted in the same way, and the handle of the bow, if you very carefully get your brush in there, where his hand's holding onto the bow, that can be this same colour. And there's all the pig finished. For the hanging leather straps, you'll see they've come out a little bit pale at the moment, so what we're going to do is do a second layer on that, and that's going to create a rich, deep pink. There we go, there's all the pink done. That's created like more like a purple really, but it looks exactly what we want for Knights Excelsior. Next up, it's Retributorama, and we're going to paint all of the gold areas on Stormcast, because we know that they like their gold. And that's going to be the bits on the bow, the halo that runs around the helmet, the shoulder trim, the scabbard, the little belt buckle, and the detailing on the quiver. It takes a little while, but it's an important step and starts to bring all of the model together. There it is, all done. Starting to look like a Stormcast Eternal now. And there's a few other details we've got to do, like the metal and all of the wood areas, but we're not far off. Next, it's pure Skeleton Horde straight out the pot, just to paint this little banner thing that's hanging off of him. You can use contrast medium and Agarose dunes, which looks slightly better if you want to do it like that, but in this case we're going for speed, and using Skeleton Horde is something we've already got out, so we may as well use that. Next, we're going to use Wildwood Contrast to paint all of the wooden areas, which includes the bow, the arrow, and don't forget the arrows in the quiver. Next, we're going to use Reikland Flesh Shade to shade all of the gold areas, and that's going to bring out lots of the detail. Next, it's Lead Belcher on all the silver areas. This includes the arrowheads mainly, but also the tabard hanging down. If you want to do the little details on the hanging pink straps, you can do, but I've not bothered because I want to get things done as quickly as I can. Next is Retributorama. That's just to bring that gold back up to a gold colour after Reikland Flesh Shade has really dulled it down. You can dry brush it Sigmarite if you have it. That tends to look a lot better, and that's what I did with the model at the beginning of the video. But this is also a viable option. Next, shade all of the metallic areas with Nuln Oil to really bring out that detail. Now it's just a little spot of Corax white, and that is on the little thunderbolts on the shoulder pad. If you're painting a Liberator or something like that with a big shield, then exactly the same colour for painting the thunderbolts on the shield. Now we've come to a really, really crucial point to painting these models. You need wildwood, and what we're going to do is paint the weathering on the armour. Now when it comes to this, less is definitely more. So don't paint massive blobs here. You just want to create the illusion that some of the raised areas have caught blows, or they've basically just been rubbed, the paint has been rubbed away from the armour. And all I'm doing to do that is I've got a really small detail brush. This one is just an army painter detail brush. I'm just painting little dots and streaks along those raised areas. It's best to do a tiny little bit on each area, then have a look at the model, see if it needs some more, and then go back and do some more. And I'm just going to do that on almost every raised area. You can put a little bit around the nuts and bolts as well, the rivets that are holding the armour together. That looks quite good. So yeah, just work your way around, and like I said, it's best to do less, because you can always go back and add some. Addition, you'll see on his chest plate there, I've just done little scratch in the centre. Those work really nicely. You just do a little flick with the brush, and then another one like a different direction going through it, and that can create the illusion that they've had a scratch or a direct hit on a piece of armour. Just sped up the last bit of footage so you can see more of what I'm doing as I work my way around and putting the scratches and weathering on the armour. So there's the weathering all done. As you can see, I've not gone too overboard with it, but I did want it to look like they are really deep in the fighting, and they're not getting a lot of time to sit and repair any damage to their armour. It's just constant, relentless battle against destruction, and I think this method really makes that stand out. So now it's time to base the model. This is my other one I've painted, and I've gone for a swampy marshland style base from Gur. It's a really simple method. I also didn't want to take 20 years doing it, as the idea is to speed paint these things. So to do that, we're going to need Astra Granite to start with. We're going to get Astra Granite all over the base. Nice and simple. To do this, I'm using an old brush I have. You need to keep washing it throughout the process of putting the Astra Granite on the base, because if you don't, the sand from the paint will dry inside the bristles and you'll never be able to use the brush again. So just keep putting some water on it. The next step after that, when it's all dry, is to get some Athonian Camoshade, and putting that all over the base is going to create that swampy, murky, jungly looking base that we're after, like it's rock or kind of like a grey mud. And that's what we're going for. So just literally put it all over the base. So now that that's done, the next step is to dry brush the base Tyrant Skull, and that's going to catch all the raised detail, make it stand out, and really bring the base together. Next we're going to paint the rim of the base black. You're probably going to need a couple of coats of this. And so I've finished my 2 coats of black around the base, and then I've stuck some grass tufts on top. You can use pretty much any tufts you want. I'd suggest using ones that are slightly greener to reflect the fact that it's growing in a watery type environment. But there you have it, the finished model. Let's compare it with the other one that I did earlier. As you can see, they're pretty much identical. And then for all the rest of them, I'll be batch painting the unit. Now obviously it says in the title that this is a speed painting video, so how long exactly did it take me to paint both of these? Well, setting the timer at the beginning of painting it, not including drying time, it took 25 minutes and 9 seconds to paint one of these models. So that means you're looking at 250 minutes, or about 4 hours to paint 10 of them, which for painting 10 models to this standard in a non-standard scheme, that is a pretty impressive amount of time. That's one evening's painting session if you get that long, or over 2 nights if you do it at 2 hours a piece. And obviously you're going to get a little bit quicker. There might be other Stormcast models that take a little bit longer, and obviously on your characters you can spend a little bit more time, but 25 minutes per model, that's pretty decent. If you like this video, please feel free to subscribe. There will be more of them coming thick and fast, as I've got some time on my hands, and I'm going to make some, and they'll all be on the speed painting theme to get your models on the table ready for battle when everything opens up again after COVID. Thanks very much.